Who's there? Who's there? Up there on the stair. Beware, beware. I hear somebody coming up on his toe. Oh, look there he goes. Why, Mr. Ghost is going to town. He takes his cane, his gloves, and his hat, and like a cat, he hurries down the alley. The moon is bright, and this is the night when Mr. Ghost is going to town. He's feeling great, and he can't be late. He's got a date to do a little stepping. He'll shake his bone to hot saxophone, 'cause Mr. Ghost is going to town. His bone to hot saxophone, 'cause Mr. Ghost is going to town.
That this is the Halloween special, episode 4. We've got some spooky music. We started off with the Five Jones Boys, who were 30s a cappella band, and they used to do all the sounds of the voices, the instruments with their voices, a bit like a band full of Bobby McFerrins. But that song is called Mr. Ghost Goes to Town, and it's good, as they do a lot of these like spooky sounds in it. Got some spooky old time radio and some ghost stories. Do you believe in ghosts, Richard?
I believe there's, in some things, if they're ghosts, such as actually dead people, but I think there's definitely things.
Things. You believe in things?
Yeah.
Have you ever seen one?
No, just spooky feelings in various places.
Now, I know you've seen a UFO, but that's a different matter, isn't it?
That's a whole different episode.
Yeah. What was your spooky feeling?
Just when I've been working in places, I felt really uncomfortable. Like when we used to do the filming and stuff. You've had that, I'm sure.
I felt very uncomfortable working, yeah. Didn't feel right.
But like when I was already doing a job, it's a fairly new house. There's everything far up the stairs. It went down to the basement, which is dressed out. So there's all proper walls and stuff. But I just had a really horrible feeling down there. It was instantly cold. I was like really sweating.
You were cold? You were like in a cold sweat?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was just very weird, strange. But as soon as I left that one room in the basement,
yeah,
I felt fine.
You mean you went into a cold basement?
No, it wasn't a cold basement.
You just
said it wasn't that.
It was just the atmosphere. It had an atmosphere.
Yeah.
You see, I can believe that. I can believe that there are echoes, or that there are, places can take on vibes of places, but I can't believe that I'm gonna die, and then I'm gonna float around and think, oh right, oh, I know what I'll do. I'll go see Richard, and I'll switch his TV on and off. That's not gonna happen, is it?
Not really.
I mean, I wouldn't do that. I mean, I would at least lift something. I would give you a proper fright, but I wouldn't just like. Or
You think they'd like maybe lift a pen and actually write something?
Yeah, or you'd say, "Hey, Richard, don't worry about it. You know, don't worry about dying. It's cool. You get to do stuff afterwards." But I wouldn't come back and through a medium who didn't even know either of us say, "Tell Richard it's nice to see him being so happy, and I'm glad he's had that ridiculous long haircut." Because I went to a spiritualist church once, and that's what all the messages are. It's like, oh, tell her. She's saying she likes your haircut, and she saw that you were looking at some new shoes the other day, and she thinks you should get them. So that's not going to happen. Anyway. So it's the Halloween special. What did you do for Halloween? What's your voice?
1 second.
I heard a voice. It sounded like a lost child. It's gone. Go on, what'd you do?
We just took the kids around the streets begging for candy.
And did they do well?
Oh, we did. We got a great haul.
And did Willow go as a banana?
No, she went as a baby in the end.
Alright.
Ivy went as a zombie cheerleader.
Like it.
And Liam went as a dragon.
Well, not strictly Halloween, but that's acceptable.
It was a monster.
Is Dragon a monster? I suppose so. Fantasy monster. But Halloween's meant to be ghosts and ghouls, isn't it?
It can be all sorts here.
Hello?
Krista,
Yes?
have you ever seen a ghost?
Huh?
Have you ever seen a ghost?
I don't think so.
What do you mean you don't think so?
I can't recall ever seeing a ghost.
Have you ever had a spooky experience?
Well, there was that one time when the skewers fell off the shelf in the kitchen.
It was a Tupperware tub, wasn't it?
Oh, I think skewers fell off sometime. Yeah, there was Tupperware tubs. I think skewers fell off too.
Go on, what happened?
Well, we were in the kitchen, you and I, and we had a kiss, and then suddenly a Tupperware tub that had been all the way back on the shelf just shot off and fell off.
And you think that was a ghost?
Well, I think it was, well, it wasn't anything else. What else could it have been?
Who knows? It's unexplained.
It's true.
Could it have been faulty Tupperware?
Well, what sort of faulty Tupperware moves?
Yeah, that would be a selling point, really. It wouldn't be a fault, would it?
Exactly.
Oh well.
Find the secret, we could make millions.
Well, I just wanted to check. Anything else to add
All
for the
right.
Halloween special?
Not off the top of my head, no.
All right then. Can you do a scary voice?
What would you like me to say?
Say, I don't know. Something's frightening.
Something frightening.
Yeah, okay. You regret that. All right. See you later.
Bye.
Truth is stranger than fiction. And this is the proof. This is Ripley's Believe It or Not.
A witch doctor in Angola, Africa, who wants to resign his profession, must attain an entirely new identity by wearing a mask day and night for a whole year. Believe it or not. In a moment, I'll tell you the weird story of a man who staged his own execution. Some men have been known to do strange things in the face of death, and Giuseppe Carracci certainly was one of them. Giuseppe was an Italian sculptor who was sentenced to death in Paris for attempting to murder Napoleon. he persuaded authorities to permit him to travel to the guillotine in the purple robes of a Roman emperor. And he rode in a golden coach which he designed especially for his own execution. Believe it or not.
Poor Halloween this year. You know, there wasn't much released or much going on.
Yeah, there wasn't any really horror films. British TV never sort of picks up with the like horror theme nights or showing a load of horror films or really going for it. I mean, was there any of that over there?
I think maybe some of the cable channels, but nothing on sort of the local stuff.
Yeah, but I tell you what made me feel old over here. The News of the World came free with a DVD of Dawn of the Dead.
Wow.
The
That's
70s
very good.
one. Yeah, but that was like a video nasty. Well, it wasn't on the banned list, but that was like one of the more extreme videos you could get when we were kids.
Yeah.
And now it's free with the News of the World.
Yeah, they probably wouldn't complain about it when it first came out.
Exactly. Most of those video nasties were terrible anyway. They were like 10-year-old films then. In the 80s, they were like 70s Italian films. They only got released on video because they were so desperate to get new stuff out on video because there wasn't the films to fit the demand. But they were like 10 years old when everybody was getting up in arms about them. Apart from The Evil Dead. But that's still a good film.
Hello, your call cannot be taken at the moment, so please leave your message after the tone.
It's me. I'm doing the Halloween podcast.
Hello?
Erica,
Hello?
can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Did you want to speak to Oliver?
Well, I can talk to you because it's the Halloween one. Do you believe in ghosts?
I'm not sure.
What does that mean?
I suppose. I don't really believe, but I've seen some things that maybe make me wonder.
Like what?
Like, sort of things you can't explain.
Like what?
Like Harry Linley on the landing steps.
Yeah, but it was his landing, wasn't it?
No, it was our landing.
So he shouldn't have been in the house.
We were in the wrong house.
Well, that's the explanation.
Yeah, but his body was on a plane being flown back from Spain.
Was it?
Yeah.
You definitely saw him.
Oh, yeah. But the mother said it was because I'd eaten too many peanut butter sandwiches.
But what I don't understand is if you die and you're a ghost and you've had all... So, like, life and death, all the secrets have been explained to you.
Yeah.
Why would you then come back and go stand on your neighbour's landing?
Maybe you're trapped in between. You can't get to where you're supposed to go in.
But even so, why would you go... You think, oh, I know. I'll go stand on the neighbour's landing. That's the answer.
Well, maybe you have to struggle to find somewhere back and somebody who can see you.
So he's come all the way back from Spain where he died. But when he got to his house, he ended up in the neighbour's house on the landing.
Well, it wasn't good luck having a heart attack in Spain either, was it?
Well, he's done well to get back from Spain, but he can't get the right house.
I said these things are unexplainable.
I'll tell you what I'm going to play now, and a bit of old-time radio, The Old Witch. It's like 2 or 3 minutes by an actress called Martha Wentworth, who was a voice actress who did the voice for the witch in The Sword and the Stone. Do you remember her?
Oh, yeah.
and she did this old-time radio series in that same voice, reading these like over-the-top little horror stories. So I'm going to play some of that.
I'm busy now, Jenny. Shh. Bend your ears close now and sit in the dark. You're in for a scary one to send the icy chills a scampering up and down your spines. I calls it devil octopus, 'cause it's the spawn of the devil, right out of the deep, yes. Ooh, once upon a night in a forest, whilst a woman was a-lowering a bucket into her well, a slimy monster come a-slithering and a-weaving up out of its lair in the dark water, sliding its long sucking tentacles out o'er the sides, oozed its big black body a-dripping up o'er the top of the well, sparking blue flames out of the glowering caverns of its bulging red eyes. Yes. It snaked out one of its inky wet tentacles tight around the woman. And he lifted her up fast and whipped her a-screaming wild down into the well. Yes, and then he oozed and slithered off through the forest and toward the sea, disappearing for years complete. Till last evening, 'twas then that I seen him a-rising up out of the deep and a-heading for the shore. I watched him through my long glass. I seen him for real, a-sliding and a-oozing through the village yonder. He oozed a-slithering up the side of a house in the village. Yes, like a monster's horrible hand, all blue, black and slimy. Yes, his long searching fingers and bloated jelly body slimed out of sight down the chimney. I heard the screams and the screeches of the people that was attacking down in the house. Yes, I heard them loud and wild. Oh, it was wonderful bad, delightful, horrifying. Yes, whilst Devil Octopus was a-slithering back up the chimney to the roof, word got around, and the whole village become afeared and panic upset, like they was crazy, and whilst people was a-running and a-trampling on each other to get away, old Devil Octopus went a-wreathing and a-oozing through the alleys, across the town cemetery, and into the sea, leaving naught but a path of slimy poison where he'd been. Oh, now, when the night drizzle started down, he's out again. He's a-sliming and a-slopping fast back o'er the fields toward the village. His snaky black tentacles all a-weaving and a-squirming. His horrible big head and monstrous fat body squidges slimy up and down as he moves. Yes, he can't be stopped, 'cause he smells the human blood. Yes. He pops up without warning. He moves fast, lightning fast. He's out there now, a-thinking up his wicked plans. He'll hew a ghastly path right up to your door. He'll tear you to pieces if he catches you. So nail up your windows tight, lock up your doors, stuff up your fireplaces, 'cause he comes in a-slithering like the wind. There he is, a-busting in your door. Oh, listen to me if you want to be saved. All you men, grab an axe, keep chopping at him harder. Oh. Delightful! Enchanting! completely satisfied. Oh.
Anyway, it's the Halloween special. It's going to be a week late, but that's like spooky in itself, isn't it? Doesn't that just make it more spooky that it's a week after Halloween? And it's also, this is an enhanced podcast. If you listen to it in iTunes, the little window in the bottom left-hand corner will have the pictures for the chapters and what we're talking about, and they're links now. You can click on them and it'll take you to different websites, and if we play some music there'll be a picture of the artist and you can click on that and go buy their CDs or whatever. So that's all very exciting. I'm going to get on with a bit of news. I didn't find much spooky Halloween news, but I found a couple of stories. There was one in Beijing, and there was something that was touted as a celebration of sport, culture and national unity, the Ethnic Minority Games, which is a good idea, isn't it?
Yeah.
But it descended into a farce of cross-dressing, cheating and mob violence. And athletes representing 55 ethnic minorities assembled to compete in blowpipe, darts and horse riding events. But the women's dragon boat racing event was looked into, and after other athletes complained of big women with Adam's apples, and they found out that several of the competitors were actually men wearing wigs. And the teaching team was chased away by a local gang with blades and sticks. So the Ethnic Minority Games, obviously not what they wanted it to be. But don't you think, like, sort of extreme, like the Olympics? It's so strict, and don't you think they should do like the opposite to it, where you can just do anything? You can cheat as much as you want, and the biggest cheat wins. Yeah, but I would watch that more than the Olympics. If you can take as many steroids, you can take as many anabolics, you can have doubles, you can have men dressed as women, and it's like the medal goes to the biggest, most inventive cheat, and most pumped up. If you had loads of steroids, people could be throwing those balls, whatever they throw. They could be going out the stadium. Yeah. Or then you could find out it was actually a helium balloon, remote-controlled helium balloon he had. And it went for 6 miles, but you would win for that. You say, and the award for shot put 6.3 miles goes to Marcus Daly, London, UK. Now this is where the enhanced podcast comes in, and we've talked about this, but I'm going to put a picture up of this guy. If anybody knows him, he needs shopping to the police because he's been crapping in trains across southeast England and has cost £60,000 worth of damage. He waits until he's done 30 trains, and he smears his filthy excrement inside the carriages. He waits until it's empty, and then he does the business. He's been filmed doing it, and so they've got a CCTV picture of him, not actually having a crap, just of his face. And that'll be up now in the iTunes window. And if you recognise him, he's had a crap in 30 trains since August. So what's that? That's nearly one every other day, isn't it?
Yeah.
August, September. Yeah, that's nearly a train every... He had a crap in a train every other day. And £60,000 worth of damage. The detective said there is no particular pattern as to when he appears. He could strike at any time, so he's not going to work. He could strike. He travels at various areas at different times of the day and different times of the week. So he's not a commuter. He's just got a grudge. I think everybody that has used London Transport understands that grudge, though.
Hello?
It's me.
Hello.
I'm doing the Halloween podcast.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so I wanted to know if you believed in ghosts.
Oh, yeah.
You do?
Yeah.
So what do you believe happens?
Well, it's only what I think I've seen. I don't know if I believe in ghosts as people come back from the dead, as memories maybe that linger on. I've seen things that make me wonder.
Like what?
Well, when I was very young, I was in bed one evening and I was just laid on my own and I was wide awake and I saw this shape come from one side of the room to the other, and it was like a white hooded a hood and then just a floaty bottom.
A floaty bottom?
I was frightened because I was a child, so I called for my mum and she said, "Oh, it's just car headlights passing down the back and they've gone across the..." Which I accepted, but when I thought about it later, I realised that we had a garden and there wasn't a road at the bottom of the garden. Mm-hmm. And bearing in mind this is probably 1948 or 9, there wasn't that many cars where we lived anyway. Mm-hmm. So I was never really sure what it was. I always felt that it was something a bit strange.
But how old was that house?
Well, it wouldn't have been that old. I think my mum and dad had moved into it when it was new built. Probably about 20 years old, something like that.
So it probably wasn't something that had happened in that house? A white hooded figure?
No. But it was I definitely saw it, and I never forget it. I can remember it vividly.
Erica said she saw Harry Linley on the steps.
Yeah, well, she always says that she saw him in our house just after he died. And then I saw your dad after he died, but that could have just been my memory wanting that to happen. That's why I kind of... I got up to go to the bathroom. You know, we walked through the lounge, and the chair that he always sat in and watched TV. Well, he was sat there, and because I was kind of half asleep, half awake, I didn't think anything about it. I just saw Eric sat in the chair, went to the loo, and then when I came back, I thought, no, the chair's empty, he's not here. But that I could explain, because that might have been a subconscious thing, being half asleep. And
you see, what I don't get is if... You see, I don't think... a ghost can't be like that person, because if you've died and you've been floating around and, you know there's mysteries of the universe and the secrets of life and death, you wouldn't just then come back and want to sit in a chair, would you?
Well, no, which is the same thing I have when you watch these psychics on TV and things. Like you just said, somebody's died and gone through all this process, and then they come back and say something like,
you've had your hair
you
done.
just painted the bedroom.
Yeah.
And you think,
tell her,
what?
I've got a message for her. Tell her I like her hair. She's had her hair done.
Yeah.
You wouldn't come back and say that, would you?
No. Well, I don't think you would. No, it's just ridiculous. But then they say things that I once went to a spiritualist that said things that I couldn't explain. She said I had, there was this spirit coming from Scotland and I had these relations in Scotland, and I was like, no, I'm sorry. And then when we went back to your Nan's and we were telling your Nan, and she said, it's something to do with a pub in Scotland. I said, no, I don't know anything about that. And your Nan said, oh, my grandmother had one of the biggest pubs in Perth, which I didn't know. So they do, maybe they're just lucky and drop on something, I don't know.
Well, Erica said that you told her she saw Harry Linley because she'd been eating too many peanut butter sandwiches.
I did. If I did, I can't saying that. That was probably like my mother saying car headlights past across the room. It's just something you say to explain it to them.
I was a teenage werewolf, the most terrifying picture of our time. I was a teenage werewolf, fantastic, bewildering. A motion picture to stand beside the greatest horror stories of all time. I was a teenage werewolf.
Hello.
What happened?
I don't know.
Anyway, you believe in ghosts?
Yeah.
Tell me your story again.
Well, sounds a bit silly, but
I'll be the judge of
I
that.
was in the back of a car, and I saw something on a path or something, and
I looked at it, and after we drove past it, I looked behind, and it was gone.
What was it, like a figure?
It was a figure, but like a ghost, like transparent, like.
Did you get the sense it was looking at you, or was it just there?
It was just there.
Just floating on the corner?
Yeah.
Was this in the village?
Yeah.
Has anybody else seen anything spooky around that spot?
Yeah, a lot near the old hospital.
Oh, yeah. So what's your
Everybody says to see
Sorry?
a lady in a white dress in the main hall.
Who saw that?
What?
Somebody saw a lady in the white dress
Loads
in
of people say they've seen it. I've never seen it.
How old were you when you saw this figure on the corner?
It was a couple of weeks ago.
It was a couple of weeks ago?
Yeah.
How long did you see it for? How long did you look at it for?
Well, I'd seen it about 2 seconds,
Yeah.
and then I looked behind and it was gone.
And you're sure it couldn't have been just a person on the corner?
Well, no, it looked a bit transparent, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Bit see-through.
Mm.
Could it have been plastic caught in the trees?
No, there weren't any trees.
Well, that is spooky and unexplained.
Yeah.
Alright, what computer game are you going to be reviewing for us next month?
Roller Coaster Tycoon 3.
Roller Coaster Tycoon 3. Alright, look forward to it.
Alright.
See ya.
See ya.
And now it's time for a short cookery section with Vincent Price.
The stuffed eggs are simplicity themselves to prepare. First, we hard boil 6 eggs. Choose the 6 eggs. If you have any doubts about their freshness, slip them into a bowl of water. A fresh egg will sink and a stale one will rise. Slip the eggs into boiling water and then lower the temperature and let the eggs simmer just under the boiling point for 30 minutes. Then rinse them in cold water, peel them, and then we can proceed. Now, split the eggs lengthwise and remove the yolks. I then mash the yolks with 2 tablespoons of mayonnaise, 1 teaspoon of mustard. When this is smooth, I mix in 4 tablespoons of finely chopped cooked ham, 1 tablespoon of minced gherkins, and 1 teaspoon of spice salt. I then mound the filling into the whites and garnish them with paprika and little diamonds of ham. These look beautiful surrounding the mushrooms. The colors as well as the flavors provide an interesting set of contrasts. I like to serve a medium white wine with these. A Chenin Blanc is lovely, or a Fumé Blanc. I always chill it for several hours and it fairly sparkles on the tongue with the appetizers.
Do you believe in ghosts?
Do I believe in ghosts?
Yeah.
Depends what you mean by ghosts.
Well, what
I
do you
would say
mean?
on the whole, I'd say no, I don't believe in ghosts. Just because I've never seen one, never seen evidence of one, therefore difficult to actually believe that they're there.
So you've
if
never had...
there, if they exist, the chances are that after 35 years I'd have seen something that would indicate they were there.
So you've never had a spooky experience or seen a ghost?
My own experience, because what you just said reminded me. I was in Exeter, I was sleeping in the afternoon, and there were kids downstairs. I was in a room in a house, and there were kids running around downstairs making a lot of noise. And so I was kind of half awake, half asleep, and it felt like a big dog was sat on me. But it was a kind of devilish dog. It wasn't an ordinary kind of chihuahua or something. It was a fierce dog growling at the sound of these kids, and it felt very heavy on me. And like people talk about those witches those hags that sit on them whilst they're asleep.
Yeah.
It was the same sort of feeling in that I didn't want to move because I was scared it was going to disturb the dog, and it did feel like a physical thing on me.
And you could hear it.
I could. Well, I could. I feel it was in my imagination. I think it was all in my imagination.
Yeah.
That's what I put it down to. But in that sort of half awake, half sleep condition, you're in a very different sort of mentality, aren't you?
Yeah.
And you can believe in physical things, and you can believe things are around, or you can believe in other things that rather than just the physical that are around you. I'd say in all, that's my spookiest experience.
You see,
when I woke up fully, there's nothing there. It's just me having a sort of half dream, half awake thing.
I know, but that story needs like a landlady at the end who says, "Oh, so and so used to stay in that room, and his dog never left his side." Like, was this when you were in pantomime? Could have been like Bernie Clifton and Schnorbitz always had that room.
Yeah, that's right. Bernie Clifton and Schnorbitz used to run that room. It was a heavy Schnorbitz, I imagine that's heavy Schnorbitz was, yeah.
Well, it could have been Bernie Clifton or Schnorbitz.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, you're right. You know what? I believe in ghosts. Now.
And we'll end with a bit of old-time radio called The Thing on the Forble Board, which is from a series called Quiet Please, which isn't one of the... It wasn't one of the longer-running ones, and I don't think it was one of the most popular ones in like 40s and 50s American radio, when science fiction was a huge part of like mainstream culture. Really, it's not like it is today. It's sort of sidelined. It's on like primetime TV and radio and cinema, and I think it was seen as like a very adult themes, really. But anyway, Quiet Please was one of the more spookier stories, and this is a spooky story. It's about 20 minutes long, but if you listen to it all, I think it's a good one. Anyway, that's it for at least another month, and then it'll be the Christmas special, so that's exciting, isn't it?
That is very exciting. Because Christmas is usually a good time. No, it's there's more going on.
On those wise words, we'll leave it there.
Mutual Broadcasting System presents Quiet Please, which is written and directed by Willis Cooper and which features Ernest Chappell. Quiet Please for tonight is called The Thing on the Forble Board. Me, I'm a roughneck. Well, I was a roughneck, 20 years ago. A little too old, too slow now. Besides, I got $1 now. I don't have to be a roughneck, you see. Married, got a nice home. Had to meet my wife. Hey, Mike. Her name's Maxine, but she likes to be called Mike. Mike! I guess she's busy out in the kitchen someplace. Besides, she doesn't hear very well. Shame, too. She's so pretty and everything. Well, you'll meet her. Sit down. I was saying I was a roughneck. Well, no, that doesn't mean exactly what you think it means. A roughneck is an oil field worker, specifically a guy in a drilling crew. Call them roughnecks like you call a section hand on the railroad a gandy dancer, a garage hand a grease monkey. Same time you work around a drilling crew for a while, you're going to be a roughneck in every sense of the word, boy. A derrick floor or a Forble board's no place for a guy with a bow tie. Because when you have to fool around with drilling holes that go farther down the ground than it is from the top of Pike's Peak down to sea level... Yeah, sure they do. The time I was a roughneck, we got this one well down to 7,313 feet. That was a record. But last May, Pure Oil brought one in out in the Natrona Valley in Wyoming at 14,309 feet. That, friend, is almost 3 miles. Quite a hole, that, huh? Sure, I don't think there's an oil man in the world that don't wonder one time or another what's down there, besides rock and oil and gas. Oil that's made out of trees that died 20 million years ago. Oil that's made out of dinosaur bones. Oil that's maybe made out of the flesh and blood of men, maybe, that beat each other to death with a stone axe, ate saber-toothed tiger for lunch. Yeah, you get to wondering. You look at the cores that come up from way down there, and sometimes the little shells, trilobites mostly, that was alive when Manhattan Island, where New York is, was under half a mile of ice. We found something once, me and Billy Grunwald, and something found us. I'll tell you about it. We were down to around 5,400 feet. We'd set casing. We began to get water, so we had to stop drilling and cement off. Well, you see, when water begins to seep in the hole, you pull your drill pipe, then you let down a cementing shoe inside the casing, and you plug up the bottom of the hole, casing and all, with quick hardening waterproof cement. Then when it's hard, you drill through the cement, go on down, and the cement outside the casing at the bottom keeps the water out. Well, we had the drill pipe all pulled and racked. The cement was setting, see, so we was shut down, waiting for it to harden. We'd been coring just before. Well, you see, a core drill is hollow, and as the bit digs down, it stuffs the drillings up inside it, so when you pull it out, you got a sample of the kind of stuff you're going through. And a geologist can tell a lot from that. So there's nobody around the rig except me that night. The rest of the crew's going into town. I was toasting some pork chops over the forge for my supper. I heard a car pulling up. Look out, it's Billy Grunwald, the geologist, and I give him a hello. Hi, Billy. Come and have a pork chop.
Hi, Porky. Where's everybody?
They all went to town. I'm the whole crew.
I had 3 blowouts between here and Oxnard.
Yeah, I wondered where you was. Ted said you'd be in here about 3.
Yeah, I would have been, except for my tough luck. Oh, I'm dead.
Yeah, hungry?
Starved.
Yeah, I got 7 pork chops. And bread. And some coffee, kind of.
Swell. Yeah, I got a bottle in the car.
We're going to have a banquet.
Hey, where's that core? That's what I came up here to look at.
Yeah, back there on the bench. Look at it after supper.
Hey.
What?
Didn't you say you were all alone here?
Uh-huh.
I thought I heard somebody talking.
I don't see anybody. Keep an eye on that pork chop. You won't have any supper.
Yeah, I'm watching it.
Here, let me put the coffee on. Like so.
When'd you finish cementing?
This morning. Last tower only made about 10 feet of holes, so Ted shut down before we get flooded out of house and home.
Funny about that water.
How?
Oughtn't to be any at that level, according to my figuring.
Well, there is.
Is it salt?
Sure, right out of the bottom of the ocean.
That's funny. Well, maybe I'll be able to tell something from the core. Yeah, I hope so. The last core I looked at, I'd have sworn we were getting into shale.
Ain't seen none yet, from the cuttings.
That's funny.
Here, your pork chop's done. Yeah, take some bread.
Yeah, thanks. Oh, man.
Good, huh? Yeah, put on another. I had 2 already before you come.
Yeah, much obliged. Yeah, you never can tell what's down there. You get it all mapped and plotted out, all the strata. And all you know is what comes out of the hole.
Yeah, I'd like to go down there sometime if I was little enough.
Never get you down a hole.
Yeah, you'd fit. You're skinny.
I'll stay up here and look at the cores, Bud. Where is that one?
Behind you. Over there.
Oh. Well, I'll have a look at it.
Well, why don't you wait till you finish your supper?
I'm just going to look at it. Put on another pork chop for me.
Okay.
Well, I wish those screech owls would keep...
What's the matter?
Hey, wait a minute, Porky.
Well, why did...
Listen.
What's eating you?
You know, I'd have sworn there's somebody up there in that portable board.
Ah, you're crazy. There's nobody up there.
Getting against those stands of drill pipe.
Ah, they're just rack crooked. One of them slipped. Come on back and eat your pork chop.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess so. Only
what you so jittery about, Billy? Come on, eat your sandwich. Here.
Yeah, well, thanks, Porky. I don't know. I'm just naturally that way, I guess. I'm always scared of the dark. Doggone it, I hate to be a baby, but I can't help it.
Scared of the dark? Honest?
Stupid, ain't it?
Oh, I don't know. Everybody's scared of something. Me. Spiders scare the tar out of me. Black widows. Oh. I know how you feel, Billy.
There another light over here?
Yeah. Here.
Ah. Oh. That's better. Hey, listen, Porky. Go out to the car and look in the left-hand door pocket and bring back that bottle, will you? That's what I need.
Okay, kid. Okay. So I picked up a flashlight. I turned around and went outside. I found the car. And I got the bottle. And the floor of the derrick was all lit up, and when I saw a beam of light suddenly flash up toward the forbel board, I laughed. Billy Grunwald and his ideas. Sure, I looked up. There wasn't a darn thing up there, except the drill pipe racked against the fingerboard. Oh, this, forbel board. Well, you've seen oil derricks, or pictures of them? Do you know that little platform that runs around the outside of the derrick about halfway up? Well, that's the forbel board. Well, you see, drill pipe comes in lengths, and you handle them with several lengths screwed together so as to save time getting them in and out of the hole. 2 lengths is a double, 3 is a thrible, 4 is a forbel. When you pull a pipe, you heist it up inside the derrick with a traveling block, which moves up and down from the crown block at the top of the derrick. And then when a forbel of pipe is pulled out, it's held in the rotary table. You break the joint with tongs, like a great big Stilton wrench, you see. Snub a cable that's fastened to the handle over the cathead on the drawworks, and that breaks the joint. Then you hold the tongs on the pipe, give the rotary table a few turns to unscrew it. You heist away with the traveling block and swing it over against the fingerboard, lean it against the derrick. The guy up on the forbel board takes off the traveling block. You do it all over again till you got all the pipe out, you see? Well, there wasn't anybody up on the forbel board except a screech owl, and it flew away. So Billy turned his light off, and I come on inside. And just as I come up the steps, he let out a yell.
Yay!
What's the matter? What's the matter, Billy?
Hey, come here. Look here.
Well, what's it?
Look, Porky.
Where did you find that?
Now, listen, Porky, I give you my word. That was embedded in the core.
Why, it couldn't be.
I tell you it was. Look where I dug it out. Hey, you know what? That rock there comes from a mile underground. And it's been a mile underground for 1,000,000 years. And look at this.
And I did look. And what he was holding was a gold ring. And it was all carved and filigreed just like jewelry. And there wasn't any kidding about it. It was real. No, wait a minute. Hang on, I ain't done. I poked at the core of rock that looked like a kind of petrified salami or something. And then it was my turn to pretty near jump out of my pants. Because right alongside the place where Billy dug out the ring, there was a mud-covered, but very unmistakable finger. I picked it up, and it was cold, and it was heavy, and it was solid rock. At least it felt like solid rock. And I looked at Billy, and Billy looked at me. He started to rub the mud off this here stone finger. And as he rubbed it, it begun to disappear. No, he could still feel it, he said, but when the mud was gone, neither one of us could see it. And he dropped it to the derrick floor. It went clunk, and we couldn't find it anyplace. So you know what we done? Well, we took that bottle and we took and finished it, Billy and me. We finished it in one slug apiece, and it was a full pint of bathtub gin. It tasted just like so much well water to me. And then we sat down on the derrick floor and we looked at each other. We didn't say a word. My eyes got heavier and heavier. The last thing I remember was I heard some kind of noise that seemed to be coming up from down the forbel board 80 feet above us. I shut my eyes a minute. I guess I went to sleep. And I had awful dreams. Black widow, spiders crawling all over me with gold rings on their legs. Things I could hear, but I couldn't see, up on the forbel board. Billy Grunwald climbing up the ladder outside the derrick in the moonlight. Faces looking at me, and I couldn't figure out who they were. Then I was waked up by a horrible scream, The crash alongside me that shook the whole derrick. I opened my eyes to see Billy Grunwald lying on the floor 2 feet away with a broken neck. With a broken neck and his left hand. Well, he put the gold ring on the little finger of his left hand, and the way his arms were spread out, his left little finger and the ring were gone. Well, friend, I got out of there. I run down to where Billy had left his car, and I got in. I stepped on the starter. And I couldn't get it to go, and then I remembered after I'm pretty near run down the battery that Billy had taken a key. I wasn't going up there and go through a dead man's clothes to get it. So I sat there in the car and shivered all by myself till daylight. And then Ted and the crew came. Afterwards, a state cop, and everybody in the world was asking me questions.
Did you and Billy have a fight, Porky?
I told you we didn't, Ted.
But you had been drinking.
We only had that little pint, Ted.
Well, what was he doing up on the foible board? Did you threaten him, and did he run up there to get away from you?
Listen, cop, don't be a chump. Billy Grunwald and I were good friends.
Then why'd you push him off the foible board?
I didn't, I tell you. I wasn't up there.
Oh, what did he go up there for?
I don't know. I was asleep.
How do you know he was up there?
I didn't say he was. You said so. Besides, how would he break his neck if he didn't fall from way up there?
Well, look, officer. I think it was just another accident. I mean, we haven't got anything on Porky, and personally, I don't believe he did it.
Well, it's mighty mysterious.
So it is. But we got work to do. Now, how about it? That cement's hard down there. I want to start drilling again, and I'm short-handed. Will you let Porky stay here till I run in my pipe again, and, well, then you can take him and ask him questions till you're blue in the face.
Well,
Okay. Let's get rolling. You got steam up, Happy?
I'm all set.
All right. Porky, you go from the foible board.
What? Not me, Ted.
Oh, don't be such a boob. There's nobody up there to shove you overboard. And you can put a safety line around you if you want to. And besides, you're getting paid to do what you're told. I've lost too much time already. Come on, get going.
So, okay, I go up on the foible board. And you can bet I took a good gander around before I did anything else. Now I couldn't see a thing. So I signaled to the driller to let down the traveling block, and he did. Came sailing down from up above. I was just reaching for it to pick up the first foible of drill pipe. Gave a big jerk, and the cable broke. It dropped and nearly pulled me off the foible board. And it landed right on top of Ted. And if you have any idea what a guy looks like after 2 tons of metal land on him from 80 feet up, yeah, you keep your ideas to yourself. Well, that was enough. 2 accidents in a row. The whole crew quit. They wasn't going to wait for a third. And it was Ted's money that was paying off. There wasn't any more, and as far as I know, the abandoned derrick is still there. And that was 20 years ago. Oh, I forgot to tell you something. That traveling block was right in front of my face when it broke loose. It was hanging by steel cable, 3/4-inch steel cable. And I saw that cable break right before my eyes. Looked just like a piece of string when you snap it between your fingers. I could almost see the fingers. You know what? There was something up there on the foible board with me. And so a couple of days later I came back. I don't know if there's anything in the world as desolate, as dismal, as dead-looking as an abandoned oil well rig. There it stands like a skeleton off on a deserted side road and the bare yellow hills surrounding it, and it's the deadest thing you ever saw. I sat in my car for a long time looking at it. Everything was just the way we'd left it. I looked in at the floor. The smashed traveling block was there alongside the rotary table. There was a little mutter of steam from the boiler. That was all. Then I heard a tinkle of something as it hit the ground alongside me. I looked around. There wasn't a soul in sight. But at my feet was the gold ring that Billy Grunwald and I had found in the core of rock that came from a mile underground and from 1,000,000 years ago in time. And I heard a little sound. The sound of a kid crying. And there wasn't any kid up there. And I heard it again, and it came from above my head, and I took out my revolver. I loaded it carefully. I started up the ladder to the foible board. Well, there wasn't anything up there, nothing I could see. But there was a voice crying. The voice of a little kid. And then there was a movement behind the rack of drill pipes, and I saw the pipe move, and I yelled, "Come out of there, whoever you are! Come out or I'll start shooting!" And the stand of pipe shivered, and I thought, what can it be that can handle that heavy pipe like jack straws? And then there was a crash. The whole stand of pipe fell over, and I just got out of the way in time. And I was alone on the foible board with the thing. But I couldn't see it. I felt the platform tremble under my feet again as something moved toward me. I fired 2 or 3 shots. And nothing happened. I started backwards. I knew it was following me because I could hear it meowing like a cat. My feet tripped over something. I saw it was a big can of red lead that somebody had left up there. Without thinking, I picked it up and I threw it at the sound, and it splashed. And there it was. And I wish the face of a little girl, frightened, crying with hunger and terror. Hands like a human being, and a finger missing from the left hand. And the body. Well, I'll tell you about that. I told you how I'm scared of spiders. But I knew where it came from. It had come from the bowels of the earth, come riding up on the drill pipe as we yanked it out of the well. Come to an alien world, and was lost. It stood there dripping with red paint, blood red from head to foot like some horrible dream. And it put its hand on my arm. Its hand was stone. Living, moving stone. And it looked into my eyes and mewed like a lost kitten. "20 years ago, I discovered many things about it, what it used for food, that it was deaf, that it was invisible and couldn't see people when it was invisible, that if you sprayed it with mud or paint or grease paint, makeup, then it could see people. And believe me, I didn't want to see its body. I can see that in my nightmares. But its face, I can't help wanting to see that pathetic little girl face. I'm afraid maybe I've fallen. But it's very beautiful. And when it's well made up, it's... But making it up, rubbing grease paint on a stone face that looks at you and smiles, and it makes sounds like a lost kitten yet. I can disguise the body in long dresses. She can't hear very well, and when she's hungry, I have to stay out of her way. I found out what she likes to eat, remember? No, sit still. Sit still, do. Sit still or I'll have to shoot you. I want you to meet my wife. Or rather, my wife wants to meet you. Mike. Mike. There she is. Come on in, dear.
The title of tonight's Quiet Please story is The Thing on the Foible Board. It was written and directed by Willis Cooper and featured Ernest Chappell.
And Dan Sutter played Billy Grunwald. Pat O'Malley was Ted. And Cecil Roy was also a member of the cast. As usual, music for Quiet Please is played by Albert Berman. Sound? Sounds by our good friend Albert April. Now, for a word about next week, here is our writer-director, Willis Cooper.
Well, I'm reasonably sure that all the characters in tonight's stories were completely fictional. At least I, for one, hope so. Next week, the story is called Presto Changeo, I'm sure.
And so, until next week at the same time, I am quietly yours, Ernest Chappell. This program was heard in Canada through the facilities of the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation. This is the Mutual Broadcasting System.